Welcome to Networking Working, the podcast where real business stories meet meaningful connections. Brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. Whether you're building something new, scaling something established, or just exploring smarter ways to move your business forward, you are in the right place.
Welcome back to Networking Working. In this episode, we're diving into a brilliant chapter for BMUK, something that's all about real support, real learning, and real growth. I'm joined by Phil Pugh to talk about the Academy, what it is, who it's for, and why it's been built from the ground up with business owners in mind. Welcome to the podcast, Phil.
Thank you very much, and hello to you all.
Let's start with the big picture. What is the Academy?
The Academy, in technical terms, is what is commonly known as an LMS, which is the Learning Management System. And that means, quite simply, it's interactive. It will enable, I'll call businesses our members. That's probably a nice way of doing it. We're family. It will enable members to both educate themselves, be able to benchmark themselves, be able to find shelter when the weather in the business world becomes really stormy. And I think we're going to delve into that a little bit later. And as we grow the Academy, but more importantly, as we get feedback from members, because that's all about members' needs and their benefits, then we'll expand the principle both left and right, up and down.
For someone listening who's just launched a business or is thinking about it, what kind of support does the Academy offer?
Oh, two aspects. Let's have a look at a really good aspect. So here I come along and I've got a brilliant idea, got a concept. So what happens in today's world is a bit flaky, in my opinion. So you will sit at your dining table or in your bedroom and you'll start sketching an idea out on a piece of paper. You then need to translate that into something. Now, that could be a service, it could be a product. Either way, you're going to need some support. Support financially, support in terms of premises maybe, in terms of expertise, or just simply advice what not to do. Get it right first time. So the Academy is there to not just signpost, but provide that support. Now, people listening might say, well, yeah, I've heard this before. We've got growth clubs, we've got this, and we've got all sorts of other things that exist out there. Yes, there is. All that support is available. Some of it works very well. Some of it is half okay. But what we want to do and what we are doing, we are going to build an academy. So if you translate that into a college, a university, some people might not like that principle. Let's call it a warehouse, a big warehouse, 24/7, available for me to come along with my idea. So I'm shy on my first day. Here I am approaching the gates of this virtual academy. And what am I expecting? Well, I'm expecting a good welcome, a reception. Somebody that says to me, don't worry, Philip, we will help you. You can be with us. You can cry on our shoulder. You can hit us on the head. You can. That's available. So on that first reception day, then what the academy will do is understand what I want. It will unpick my idea, and that will be somebody who is not physically there. So let me translate that into what the academy would look like. Okay. So there will be a series of doors, and that first reception will be somebody. There will be a body. So there'll be you, and you'll open the door, welcome me, and you'll explain what the academy is for. And you'll say, well, okay, here's a checklist. You're a new business. You've got an idea. These are the things that you need to start thinking about before you commit yourself to your idea. So it might be some product leadership, it might be some product design, it might be service technology. It might simply be, how do I run a business? What do I need to do? Do I need some money? Do I need a bank account? Do I need a name? What do I do about marketing this? Do I need anybody to help? And so on and so on. I mean, everybody has got ideas, and we all sit on our, well, wherever we sit, whether you sit on the loo or whether you sit in the garden, you think, well, how am I going to actually do this? The aim is to signpost you in that right direction. Now, as you leave that reception, you will have that checklist in front of you. And as you go down the corridor, there well may be a door with a label on that says sales. Mm-hmm. So you open that door, and inside there will be another set of doors that will say selling in the UK, selling abroad, etc. You might not want that. You might go to the next door that says finance. You might go to the next door that says legal status, some advice legally, whether you're going to be a limited company or just stay as a sole trader. So the principle is that you can choose where you want to start, where you believe you need that knowledge, because I might have some knowledge. I might be in employment and I might understand pounds, shillings and pence. If we go back to the old system, I might understand how to sell. So the choice where you start is your choice.
Yeah.
The aim is for you to build your knowledge. So that corridor is knowledge building. Now, if you say to me, well, okay, how long can I stay in that corridor for? Well, you can stay for minutes, you can stay for hours, you can drop in and drop out. The aim is to provide you with a key. So you come back to reception, you say, well, okay, yeah, I like this. I want more of it. I want to join. And in simple terms, you would join, you would sign up, you would become a member of the academy. So you are now a student. Again, I can move that image across and you come back day 2 and you're coming into a hall. And in that hall are lots of other businesses. But one of the important things for a startup, particularly if you are on your own, is the ability to talk to your fellow starters. The ability to be able to say, I'm really worried, because there'll be other people who are 10 hours down the road further ahead than you, or 5 days, or 2 weeks, or a month. And being able to interact with them at the start of the day and during the day is important. That cross-fertilization of ideas. The Academy can provide some very clear doctrines, some very clear, don't go here, some very clear, go over there. But there's nothing better than people who have already broken their fingernails. Nothing better than that. So the Academy provides that as well. Okay, so the bell rings. I know I'm going back to sort of school days, but we all can relate to that. And you've already got an idea of where you want to go. So maybe it's 11 o'clock in the morning and you've decided overnight that you need to talk more about finance. So you will go down the corridor, open the door. And obviously, in terms of a website, in terms of a learning management system, what you're looking at are tutorials. Now, those tutorials could be podcasts like we're doing today. They could be YouTube assistances, but they'll all be labeled clearly available for you to access. So you will simply strike on VAT and there will be a professional. Now, let's talk about that professional. That professional, that person, that expert, we have to call them an expert because they wouldn't be giving you advice if they weren't. Somebody who's knowledgeable about VAT, and that could be an accountant, it could be just a finance advisor, will already have put up a podcast, will already have put up a YouTube, an explanation in virtual form to help you. And you're able to sit, listen, learn, replay. And that's the principle in that room. So that room will tunnel down to VAT, then may tunnel down to which bank, advise on the type of bank, are you going to be selling overseas? That principle, if you think about a funnel, so right at the top of the funnel, it's very big and it's finance. But as you go down to the funnel to where the spout is, then you're looking at the sorts of things that really would worry me. So cash flow. So I need to understand more about, oh my God, cash flow. Yeah, it's all about that. I've heard people talk about business can be successful, but it fails because it's got no cash. So I need to know more about that. So that principle applies whether it's finance, whether it's legal, whether it's sales again, whether it's promotion, PR, even technology. Each of those rooms will open up into subset rooms as you drive down. I can stay in the academy for the hour. I can pop in. I can just learn a little bit about my VAT position. Oh, yes. And I can go off into the wide area world, or I can stay there as long as I want. And I can come back the following day or the following week to be able to gain the knowledge. Now, okay, I'm being spoken to, but I've met somebody in the academy day 1. What happens if I need to talk to somebody? Because I've got questions. I have questions.
Yeah.
No, I need to talk to people. Well, there is the ability to talk to the academy tutors. Who are they? They're people that are not the experts in the VAT or the selling or the promotion. They're the people that will help and support a startup business. They're the people that have experience. Experience is so valuable. What we're not going to do is to have, I'm going to be rude here, is a business consultant who maybe has been around the world, but in actual fact has never run a small business of their own. They've never actually had to get out of bed and think, I've got no shoes today. I actually only have some pennies in my wallet. What am I going to do? Am I going to spend what I've got on my idea? Or am I going to buy a bagel and a coffee? Until you've done that, it's really difficult to advise people. So the people that will be with the academy supporting those businesses are going to be people like us who have started businesses and have failed. We've had businesses taken away from us because we've made really silly business decisions that in hindsight, you think, why did I do that?
Yeah.
That was such a stupid thing for me to do. And I've lost the business, and I've done that in my lifetime twice now. So those people will be available. If you think, well, okay, are they just going to be sitting there having coffee until I knock at the door? No, you would make an appointment online with them and create a one-to-one, and they're going to be those advisors. But bear in mind, they're going to be people that have experience. But also bear in mind that experience doesn't necessarily mean, come to me, I've been in business for some time, but am I the right person to advise you on VAT? No, of course not. When you ask me, that's really great, Phil. Yeah, I understand the decisions that you made that were wrong. I'm conscious of that. Can you tell me about VAT? The answer is no, because I would redirect you to the expert. And that's the important difference, the balance between those who are trained, educated, certified and qualified to advise you and those that have life experience. And I believe strongly in the world of business, we mix those two up and we don't do that at all very well. Here's an analogy for you. I'm not a Roman Catholic, I'm a Christian, but we talk about saints. So how can you be a saint until you've done something really bad? Because until you know what bad is, how can you understand what good is?
Yeah.
So the principle is, until you've broken your fingernails in business, until you put your own money in and lost it, or you've made a few pounds and lost that, but you've come back again, and until you understand that maybe going to high street banks is a waste of time, those are the people that will be assisting those startup businesses.
That's a lot of help all in one place as well. It's fantastic to hear that it covers every single eventuality and every single problem or thought all in one place.
That's the aim, yes, that it's quick decision making, because again, if you're in business, sometimes if you're eager, if you've got a great idea and you're looking over your shoulder, because you could be thinking, well, Joe's talking to me, he's going to take my idea, I need to do it. That can lead you to making some rash decisions. So the important part of the academy is being able to get that knowledge and be prepared to make the decisions sensibly, timely, with enough knowledge to be able to at least give a good percentage of getting it correct.
Phil, when we've spoken about the academy before, you've mentioned to me the learning ecosystem. Can you unpack that a little bit for everybody?
Yeah, I tend to use the term ecosystem to describe something internal and something that's healthy, something that is being cultured, it's being fed, it's being watered, it's being looked after, something we're not doing very well with our planet. So the LMS, the Academy, is much wider than just startups. If we look at the other aspect, the other end of the business scale. So the middle bit is I'm successful, I'm making money, I'm employing people, I'm helping them to also have a life. At the other end is my business is in a terrible state. It's beginning to fail. I've made some bad mistakes. Prices are increasing and so on and so forth. So my business is failing. At the other end of the scale, we've got people with experience. But of course, they, like me, have made mistakes. They are not going to give up. But it is easier sometimes to give up and say, I'm going to find a job. I'm going to rely on the state. But there are a lot of people who don't want to do that, who actually want to give it another go. The Academy is going to support that type of business as well. But I'm sure we'll explore this further. And how do you identify that sort of business and what you do? So the ecosystem is that entire route. So the startup at one end, the business that's successful in the middle, and the business that is struggling and failing at the end. So that middle portion, why would a business that is successful, here I am, I've gone from me in my bedroom, I'm now renting an office, I've got an admin assistant, and in a year's time, I've got 4 people working for it. Why would I be interested in the Academy? Storms come and storms go. Nights are long, and sometimes the days are too hot. And we all need that touch base that as a kid, you'd always go back and say, Mom or Dad, can you help? Yes. And a parent is there to help.
Yeah.
So the aim of the Academy is to be able to have the ability to be touch-based. So if a business is successful, but it's having that business entrepreneur, even though they may be extremely confident, just checking out, just maybe dropping in because they've been part of the Academy, or maybe not. They want to be a member of the Academy, just coming and saying, I've got this incredibly wonderful contract in Dubai. I'm only been trading 4 years. I'm turning over now a couple of mil and my life is wonderful. Do you think this is the right thing for me to do? And we're there. We're there to give some assistance. That's not to say you must do it this way or you must do it that way. It's to be able to say, well, have you looked at tax? Have you looked at both in Dubai and in the UK? Have you looked at supply chain? Have you considered the world economy? Have you done all of these things?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've done all of those things. Great. So it's a touchstone.
Yeah.
So the ecosystem is looking to cover both ends and the bit in the middle. Now, the bit in the middle, people may just dip in and dip out, but it's there and is available for people to come and have a short course. You know, I want to have a top up on my Spanish because I haven't been to Spain for a year. I'm going to drop in on a night course for a month. Wallop. That's it. And away I go. It's that principle.
How does the Academy fit into BMUK's wider vision for supporting businesses?
Well, if we just go back one step, so we're looking at the beginning of the journey, potentially the end of the journey for that particular business, and the middle bit to try and prevent them from getting to the end bit, but continue to grow maybe and sprout other leaves and branches and be an even bigger business. If you said to me another question aligned to that is, what is the successful element of the Academy? What do you think, Philip, would be the success? What would make you smile? What would make me smile is to have helped Business A right at the beginning. Business A touch bases with us maybe 2 or 3 times over the next 4 or 5 years, and then we don't hear from them. And then suddenly there's a knock at the door or an email that simply says, thank you. I'm now turning over and I'm opening another division and I am employing people. And that's the important thing, is to have a business that grows and employs people. And I think BMUK is looking profoundly to not make individual entrepreneurs multi-billionaires, because they can do that themselves. It is to help the economy in our country grow. And one of the ways in doing that is to provide employment.
Yeah.
And we have lost many skills in the UK over the years. Without going into that, we have. And I know I'm in technology and my drive is to make things quicker, faster, cheaper. That's not good news for you and I, because it means we're done out of a job. BMUK aims to help businesses to flourish. And the sideline of that is flourishing by employing people. So the more people that we can help businesses employ, the more ideas that people have, which aren't flaky. You know, I'm a 15-year-old. My dad's told me to come and have a chat with you, Philip, because I've got a great idea about a game. Okay, that's great. And it's not us he wants to really talk to, because that game is in his head and he'll probably earn a couple of billion by selling it to a gaming company. That's not going to help the economy. It will help his back pocket and his family, but it's not going to employ people. And we know that. We've seen that. So it's helping the other type of businesses grow. It's not saying that we wouldn't help, Fred, but the core is to be able to build our economy within the UK. So BMUK is looking to help businesses by joining BMUK and the groups around the UK. And then if we go back one step, within any one of those groups, and a group is related, let's call it to a city, and our aim is to have an ecosystem within BMUK. We talked about an ecosystem in the Academy, and that's internal. That's the huge forest, the wilding that we're looking to grow across the fields, natural growth. And within that, maybe 3, 4, 5,000 businesses, be businesses that will be at different levels of performance. Some will be growing fast, some will be static and doing well, some will be beginning to fail but don't recognize it. Failure, before you fail, as you start to run out of money, as a silly example, because it's very common, and that's happened to me many times when I've had to go to the bank and borrow, and I refuse to do silly things. What I want to be able to do is to make sure I can have enough money to pay my people their wages, because that's the most important thing, is to be able to pay them, because they've got a mortgage to pay. Pay me last, pay them first. I will negotiate with my suppliers to buy me more time. They must have their wage on time. No excuse. And of course, I have to pay the government. So you're going to have those businesses within the ecosystem of BMUK that will be at different stages. The aim of the Academy also is to be able to identify those businesses early on and be able to identify a mentor within that group. So within that group, there are 100 businesses, and business 15 is starting to fail. The owner of that business may not have the courage to say, I've got a problem. So we have to work in each group to have confidence in us to be able to say early on, I have to spend money on buying this material, but I've got a contract and I love the contract because they're going to pay me £500,000, but they're not going to pay me until 60 days after, and so on. You get the principle.
Yeah.
How do I cope with that? So the aim is to be able, for that business, to be able to discuss that within that group, but more importantly, to come over to the academy, because there's a distress situation with that business, and that business could actually go into liquidation very, very quickly with a debt, and that debt's going to have to be paid off by somebody. So transferred across, a business within that group will mentor that business, and that could be somebody they've got to know. It could be the group appoints a company, and I don't mean physically they get up and walk across, but that company that's mentoring them is keeping their hand on them. But even though they're in the academy and they're with us and they're talking to us and we're trying to help them, then it's important they understand that they have a route back.
Yeah.
They have a route back to their group. They have a route back to the business that they had, which is going to return with all the support around from the other 99 businesses. So they come over for a day, a week, a month, whatever it may be. They get that advice, and then the phone rings and that mentor company hears from us, okay, come and collect Fred. You know, I'm talking virtually. So they come across, put Fred in the car. Fred is really happy because he's got the advice that he needs, or he's got the support, whatever that might mean. And he goes back to the group, and the group says, fantastic. Okay. Now you can imagine the support that group will give him or her when they return, because if they hadn't been honest with themselves and with the group and with us, that business could have failed. But now what they've got is not a lifeline, but a route to follow that will be rocky. There's no doubt it will be rocky. There's no easy answer to that scenario. However, there are some options. Those options might lead to other opportunities that might help them get over the next 2 or 3 months. So that's the ecosystem. So BMUK will identify and help any of those businesses that are struggling and help them to come across the academy. But also, it doesn't mean you can have the reverse of that. You can have businesses that are so successful, they have the same problem.
Yeah.
They're over successful. So oversubscribing, we'll hear a lot about that term in the podcast series. And that equally is as bad. So it's putting your foot on the brake a bit and being able to say to the business, okay, I can see that you've got £4 million worth of orders. We know that they want them all by tomorrow, and it isn't going to happen. Yeah, but I can't go back and say no now because I promised it.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to. So how do we help that business slow down? And it well may be that there is some advice, even some physical support that business has from the right person who negotiates with those 4 contracts and actually says it's not able to be done. Because the person who wants the material, the product, the service, wants it. And if they are prepared to wait an extra month or 2 months, I'm being simplistic, then they will do that. But they need to be spoken to sooner rather than later. So if you can imagine all the aspects of the business world, those that are struggling, those that are over successful, and those that are starting and going through, BMUK is looking to assist all of those internally and externally with matching opportunities. And if there's an issue or problem, the Academy is going to support BMUK businesses within the ecosystem.
How does somebody actually join the Academy? Is there an application, a referral? How does that first step happen?
LMS, Learning Management System, is a website. We're basing a lot of what I'm talking about around technology. So the website will be up on our bmuk.com website, which in our opinion is the equivalent to google.com, and businesses can register in the same way that they can go to www.business-matching.co.uk and actually go to the website and you can register interest in joining a group with BMUK. You can do the same for BMUK, the Academy. And then that application will go through, and we have interviews, all that sort of stuff to make sure that it's the right fit. Because it's not just us taking numbers, it's making sure that that business is in the right position. So I'm a 15-year-old and I've got an idea for a magic game. Okay, I think you need to spend a bit more time in the bedroom and come up with a little bit something more, and then, okay, come back with mum and dad, and we can see if we can help you. I'm being simplistic. So there are some that are too early, and unfortunately, there may be some that were just too late. And this is a horrible way of doing it. We're then planning the funeral.
Yeah.
But in planning the funeral, that's not the end, because I've lost two businesses and I came back and I buried those businesses. I didn't bury them because they were taken away from me. What I did was to bury my sadness, my broken
Yeah.
heart over something that I had developed. And through my own stupidity, my own rashness, my own greed, I suppose, I made some really silly, silly decisions, and it went. So I buried that. I gave it a funeral. I had to walk away. I lost a lot. Fortunately, not my house or my family. But what I did was to come out the other side. I went away on the first business and I spent a week building a coal bunker in the garden. I needed that therapy. And I got a phone call and I went from there. But I was prepared. I was already, when I was doing my therapeutic stone wall building, thinking about what am I going to do next? I'm not going to go and look for a job. So even though you've had that funeral, what you're doing is, that's it. I now know wealth of experience, which you have. Failure in business is not with a big F. Failure in business is a learning curve.
Absolutely.
There are so many people. If you look at many of the very successful entrepreneurs, they will tell you they have crashed against the wall so many times. And okay, they may have burnt other people's monies, but they've come back again because they've got the energy. It's energy. If you smacked in the face, okay, lie down for a few hours, get up and go out and start all over again. So yeah, you bury that and you get up and off you go.
This episode of Networking Working is brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. If you're tired of turning up to networking events that lead nowhere, BMUK guarantees to offer something different. Structured, supported, and strategically driven business development, designed to connect the right people in the right way at the right time. With a blend of face-to-face and online meetings, plus 7 unique mechanisms, BMUK guarantees real business opportunities, and that guarantee is the cornerstone of what makes us different. Stop chasing leads and referrals. Start matching with meaningful opportunities. Register your interest today at www.business-matching.co.uk. Business Matching UK. Matching ambition with opportunity.
One of the key parts that we've talked about before is the Startup Accelerator. Does that link into what we discussed earlier in regards to if you're a new business and you've got no idea where to start?
Yeah, in our opinion, an acceleration route. Let's be silly again and talk about that 15-year-old who's got a gaming idea. And it's probably a great idea. He's a real introvert, a techie. The parents, stupidly in my opinion, haven't got him out of the bedroom from the age of 10, and that's all he's done is game. However, he's come up with a really, really good idea. But it's an idea, and he's a bit of a nerd, so he's already done some basic stuff. He's learned, even at 15, how to do some coding. Really
valuable.
good. Yep. And he's already got something on his tablet that is working. For us, the danger is he'll lose out. His mum and dad will think, oh, it's a great idea. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what, I know a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend. And the danger is that idea is lost. And, someone comes along and says, here you are, here's a couple of quid for it. And the family are quite happy with that because Fred's only 15, he's going to do it again. So the accelerator is to ensure, because that idea will stale very quickly. It is not one that you can come back to in 2 years' time. So the accelerator will take Fred. I know we're talking about a 15-year-old, but obviously let's not worry about the age and the parents. But let's say what we've got is an understanding of the experts within the academy, legal in particular, and how to position that particular idea. How is it safeguarded? Where's the IP for that? Where's the code? What have you done with it, Fred? Let's put it in a safe, put his name on it, give him and his mum the keys so that they're the only ones who've got it. And the aim is to be able to point him because it needs to be fast. So he's going to have a couple of rockets stuck on either of his legs. So that means finance, that means backing, that means talking to the right people within the tech world and how to make that right for him, all the way to the position where we've seen £150 million being given to a 15-year-old by Yahoo for a game. And yeah, okay, fantastic. What an idea. But, was that the right decision for him, for the family? He was only 13, I think. So there's everything that goes around that. So the accelerator will indeed do that job. It will accelerate the opportunity, but lock it in so that he or she doesn't lose out. And it's achieved in the right way, personally. And people may disagree with me listening. I would prefer not the big company to buy it for 150 million. I would prefer one of the businesses within BMUK, who's a growing tech company, who understands what needs to be done to work with Fred, so that idea is going to be supported. Fred actually doesn't need, I'm being rude, 150 million pounds day one, nor does mum and dad. But what they need is something that will help the family, particularly Fred, grow in the future. Yeah. What it needs more than anything is safeguarding that particular idea, but also developing Fred's ability, not zapping him, not locking him in a room, but developing him. So by the age of maybe 18, 19, 20, he is an entrepreneur in the tech world. And he's not just looking at gaming, because his brain has now grown. And what he did with that gaming idea could take us to the moon and back within a couple of days. It's looking at what that opportunity can lead to. So the accelerator is developing and safeguarding and making sure that the time from starting your engine to reaching that first space station is a safe journey with all the safeguards in place. And then from there, Fred can decide which direction he wants to go.
It's very important to look at the bigger picture. I think in the example, and although it is just an example, a lot of people would be tempted by that big chunk of money early on, but that won't last long. If you've got that skill, you don't want to waste that skill. You want to build on that skill and actually make something of your whole life, not just one idea.
Very much so. And I think over the years, we've seen ideas people have had taken. And again, I apologize, I'm being rude, but for people that are mega rich, I mean really mega rich, and they'll buy a work of art and they'll put it in a vault, and they're the only people who can see it.
That's right.
And, my personal opinion is that's very selfish.
Yes.
But then you get other people who will do that, but they'll pay for a building with just that painting in for everybody to enjoy it. Yeah. So you've got the contrast, but the danger always, and we are, as humanity, is greedy. So it's very difficult to resist being greedy. And I think all of us will be tempted if we were given that option of, well, look, you can take 150 million and walk away, and I never want to talk to you again, and you have no rights to this idea. Oh, my goodness, do I ever have to work again? No. And that's what the big corporates are able to do. So it's protecting that, because we've got some wonderful people who've got some brilliant ideas now to be able to grow and help humanity.
One of the things that I really like about the Academy is that you're not just focusing on the shiny startup side. Can you tell us a little bit more about the business rescue pathway?
Yeah. Okay. So we've got again, I'll say groups. Association of groups is with cities. And we know what a definition of a city is, but there are some towns which are big and aren't cities, but have thriving business communities. As BMUK rolls across the UK, our aim is to have in excess of 36 groups, so 36 cities. In each group, there are going to be 100 businesses, no more than that. And if you say, well, hang on, that's silly. You've got London. That won't work. No, London's an exception to a rule. But if you take Manchester, if you take Sheffield, then we'll work on the principle of oversubscribe. And there is a principle behind that. Okay, so that means that within a group, let's say in Manchester, where there are a lot of businesses, and you could arguably have 4 groups, north, south, east and west, what would you do if you've got one group? Because you're going to have a clamour of people, clamour of lawyers. Yeah, okay. But if you think about what a lawyer does, he or she specializes in 1 or 2 areas. So we would have in a industrial sector, maybe for lawyers, maybe 2 or 3, but they would specialize. So you'd have a lawyer with, let's say, family, a lawyer over here with maybe divorce, one and criminal. Okay, so they all have practice at the bar, but they specialize in other areas. You can do that for business coaches as well, and so on and so forth. The aim is to have that breadth within the group. Okay, minutes go into days, days into weeks, into months, into years. And that group will grow. Some members will leave because they feel they don't need to. They're successful, off they go. Others will join. But within the group, there needs to be the opportunity for us to, how to word this without sounding like Big Brother, be able to monitor, because none of us will be honest at the right time and say, I've made that mistake, I'm running out of money, I need help. We need the ability to be able to track and monitor, so where technology comes in. So within each group, we give a guarantee as to the number of matching opportunities that we'll be giving any one business. Okay. On the other side of that, not only do we know that we've given you, Lisa, 10 matching opportunities, but we also will know that you closed one of them. So we need to understand why you didn't look at the other 9. So we need to invest time and understand that, because in understanding, that's one element of understanding the trajectory of your business.
Yeah.
Because you actually may be transfixed in one area, and we know through our experience and other people's experience that in a year's time or 2 years' time, it is going to be a problem for you. You will struggle. So in each group, there will be the ability for us to provide some advice. That sounds really big brothery. It's not saying, well, I'm sorry, but you're doing the wrong thing. It's not that. It's actually just asking the question. You've had this number of matching opportunities. Okay, tell me why those 9 didn't fit. Now, I want to understand, because your business profile is what drives the matching opportunity. If that business profile isn't kept up to date and accurate, I can't give you the right matching opportunities. On a Monday, you might say, well, I'm going to have long hair and I'm going to wear a suit. But on Wednesday, I'm going to shave all my hair off. I'm being silly, I know. And I'm going to wear a pair of jeans. But you don't tell me on Wednesday what you've done.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to use the technology to be able to get you the right matches. So
Yes.
a prime element of doing for each member is whatever that change is, I need to know. And that is you going on to your member's profile and making that change. And that change then rattles through the infrastructure. And when I've got the engines that are looking for you whilst you're asleep or on holiday for those matching opportunities, then they're more attuned. Now, on the other hand, you might say to me, well, I'm uncomfortable. What I really mean in saying is that there is something that isn't right with how you're performing as that business owner. And we need to be able to identify that and talk to you and help you. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe you've had a knock that we're not aware of. Maybe it's a business knock. Maybe it's personal. But then we need to support you. We want to support you. It's not just taking your money. I'll go right back to the beginning. The aim is to help build the economy in the UK, help people find work, help businesses be able to employ people. And we're going to say, do you need that help? Now, that's us chasing you. And I don't apologize for that, because we all need help. And again, I'll go back to me. I had people say to me, particularly when I lost my first business, Philip, you're blind. You're not doing this right. And what did I do? I said, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I walked away and I thought to myself, why don't I have the courage to say what I really need to say, which I've really made an absolute mess of this.
Yeah.
So had I had somebody to sit down the next day and say, look, I don't want to be your mum or dad, but I know you need help. You can shout at me. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to keep asking you this question. What's gone wrong? What can I do to help? I'm not an accountant. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a person in business also. Tell me what's happening so I can at least help to point you in the right direction. All of those things we all find difficult. If within the group you can build enough support within that group for people to be caring about fellow businesses, not competing all the time, building that confidence and infrastructure. And I go back to, I'm getting old. I go back to when my parents were alive, and my father in particular would talk to me about when my parents grew up in the valleys in Wales, how businesses supported each other. Within a small town, the bakery at the top of the road has run out of milk, but right at the other end of the village, there's another store selling milk, but it doesn't take advantage of that. It actually shares the milk.
Yeah.
Helping that business. Because it's all about the economy. It's all about building that relationship. We talk about it wonderfully. Our government talks about it all the time, but it has no legs. Nobody at all. It's all words. So within the group, and it won't work in every way all the time, we will be looking and monitoring. So we identify that a business is struggling. That's the opportunity then to be able to sit down with the business and say, maybe what you do is you take out a Monday or you take out a Friday and come across the academy and let's spend a bit more time looking at this. Let's do some brainstorming around it. I know it might be you just need to take a break. So I can't take a break because I'm maxed down. Well, okay, the academy can help you take a break. What do you mean? We've got people that maybe can answer the phone for you. Put a call forward on your phone, put a email forward, go. Bugger off. Clear off for 5 days, have a break. We'll manage the front end of your business. So we'll take the calls. So it won't be a deadline. Go away, think about it. And if you want to talk to us whilst you're away on a break, then we're here. But what we'll do, we'll front that. And that's part of you being with us. And then come back refreshed. If you want us to help you with whatever you decided to do, yeah. If not, wallop, off you go again. If not, we would then advise that business to join the academy in our rescue plan. Now, that could be financial support. It could be advice on agreements. It could be, if they're selling overseas, some advice about X, Y, or Z. You get the principle. What we would then do is provide that support for them as part of that package. Going right back to the first part of our podcast, there's a corridor, doors, labels on, go inside, lots of information. That's great. Okay. But where you've got a struggling business, there's a bit more urgency. It's A&E, IC unit. You've really got to sit down and say, well, okay, you trust us. Let's have a look at the bank flow. Let's have a look at the bank account. Let's have a look at the cash flow. Let's have a look at what's coming in, what's going out. Here's the accountant that we trust, NDA. Look, some advice in here. Sit down and talk to them. It's doing it urgently. It's not saying come back next week. It's tomorrow. It's this afternoon. It's now. It's that sort of thing. What we would do is provide that support. You've got to identify where the problem is. Once it's identified, support them in that area. And then as they grow, remember they've got a mentor from the group that's come across. That's keeping in touch with them because that mentor is a business in the same city. It's not the other end of the country. So hopefully there's a relationship. They might go out for a beer. I don't know. But this is the sort of community that you want to build. Now, how's it going, Mary? It's going okay. Yeah, it's a hard time. Are you getting the help? Yeah. Because you're not going to the group at the minute. The group are asking about you. We're looking for some support for you, some leads. We're looking at matching opportunities for you, and so on. And then, what you're looking for is for that business to be able to get around that corner and be able to move back into that group and get over that hump, because it is a hump. It's a ditch, got to find a way around it, through it, under it, whatever it may be. There's a solution. Even if you shut the business and open up again, I'm not preaching that that's the right thing to do, because you do some damage to other people. But, the aim is, if it's the right thing to do, you want to make the right decision at the right time and do it. What you can't do is prevaricate. So that rescue is there. And that rescue may be, let's talk about it because it has to be, business is not going to recover. So how do you minimize the damage that closing that business is going to do? How much money is owed? Who is it owed to? How do you mitigate that? Is there personal risk for that business owner? Are they going to lose their home? And so on and so forth. How is all of that handled? Right the way through to, okay, you've got a great idea. You've really just screwed up on how you ran your business. So what we're going to do is a phoenix. Not a good thing. Hate doing that. But you have to mitigate the damage that you're causing to other people. But sometimes you have to stop the bleed of money and then come back to it. So that rescue plan is either take them over the edge, help them close it off so it's as tidy as it can be. They don't lose their friends. They don't lose their homes. The suppliers have got some relationship with them because they may need to come back on Monday and start with a new name, and so on and so forth, right the way through to, yep, we found money. You've got a fund. Yes. This is what you should do. Right. Okay. I'm happier now. I'm around the corner, back into the group, and we carry on with business as usual. So the rescue plan can operate in either end of those extremes. But the key is you ring 999, whichever part of the world you're in, and you need to get a response very quickly.
It's extremely important that BMUK are not just addressing this, but are tackling it head on, because there are a lot of business groups, put them in a general part, that do not touch this at all. It's like they pretend it doesn't happen. And unless you pay your membership fee, they're not bothered. You know, you could go out of business and you stop paying the membership fee, you're no longer a member. And that's what's strikingly different with BMUK.
Yeah, and that's what we've tried to do. It's great to have the ideas. What we have to do is make sure we put that into practice. And particularly if we're identifying a business that has got legs, and there have been so many businesses that have failed for one reason or another, and it's not necessarily the business owner has made the mistake. It's where they borrowed the money from. It's their investors have screwed them. And the fact is they may never go back to being an entrepreneur again. They may end up just saying, well, I can't afford to do this. My husband or my wife or the kids have said, don't do this again. And they've lost that opportunity. So where we've got that opportunity, that's the time to help and make sure that they've got that. Bearing in mind, remember what our aim is, bottom line aim is to be able to help the UK economy grow. And in our opinion, the way to do that is to help people back into employment, provide good job opportunities, businesses that are going to grow, businesses that provide sensible jobs, whether it's in technology. We may not need 10 people in doing that job anymore. We only need one. But let's get that job done. Let's find that one person. Because if that business grows, we can have 100 of those one-person jobs, not 10,000. I know it's a lovely picture to paint, but you're right. It isn't done. It's done in piecemeal fashion.
Yeah.
And our government can't manage to do all of those things. A lot of it has got to be left up to us. We can't just sit on the sidelines and wring our hands and say, well, we need help. Sorry, Rachel Reeves, give me some money because I haven't got any and you've got it and I want it. No, you've got to go out and do it yourself. And hopefully then government is more sensible and starts taking money from those that have got too much of it. Oh, sorry about that.
What's your vision for how the Academy could grow, say, over the next 12 to 18 months?
I would love to think that we have a minimal number of businesses needing rescuing, not because we can't cope with that, but it would be, for me, an indication of the sign of the times, whether it's what's happening in the economy, you know, the pressures from governments, all that sort of pricing, all that sort of terrible stuff. I'd love to think that we only need to help a business once in a blue moon, you know, whatever that might mean. So that would be great. But if not, and it's a maelstrom, then, you know, it's all hands to the deck. And I would want to make sure that we are doing all that we can do for those struggling businesses. There will be some that, as I said to you, will have to go on to the funeral, but then it's safeguarding those involved. And there will be others, it will be a long fall, and we don't know whether we can stop them from hitting the ground. But the aim is to be able to bring them up. The success, I feel, will be we will learn the best way of helping this type of business. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say, well, we've got that door and this door and that umbrella and we've got a parachute over here. However, as we all know, all the things that we all do in life, we always find the right way to do something in the end. And that might be a shortcut. We don't go left, we don't go right, we go down the middle. So for me, a success also is the ability of fast ambulance on the ground that gets there before the person's actually had whatever the problem is, heart attack, whatever it is. We know it's going to happen. We're there. We've caught them before they've hit the ground. They're on the stretcher, and we're saving them. Okay, the ability, and this is a bit grand, I know, the ability for maybe the Academy to be recognised by a government, because, I know this is a really grand one, this is not for us, this is to put some money in to make it really serious, because wouldn't it be great if the principle could work and the principle could exist in many other parts of the country, so that you have localized academies that will do this instead of having lots of other things like growth hubs and blah, 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 and financial support over here and a bit over there. It is coming together into one place so that you've got speed. It's the ability to be able to make that happen. But also it's minimizing the amount of profit that people make from rescuing businesses. So it would be great if the government said, okay, well, look, this is good. We're going to support this. We're going to signpost it. This is always the difficult bit, because it's not saying we want more money or any money, or we want more businesses. We want to dominate the country. That's not what we're saying. What we want is the formula that we are bringing to the table, we know works. We know it creates that lovely drink, that elixir. We want to share that. We want to try and make that happen easier across the UK. Bearing in mind, we're no longer in Europe. So we have to stand on our own 2 feet now. We aren't a world leader. I'm not going to get into politics. Charity begins at home. You should be looking after, our own people here in this country, people that want to work, businesses that want to grow. We've got the skills. We've got people who do want to. That's the aim. It's focus. And our formula we want to share. Now, if we can make it work ourselves successfully, then what we'd love to be able to do is to have academies in Wales, academies in Scotland, academies in Ireland, and be able to save business, be able to grow businesses, use technology to optimize matching opportunities that are out there. And bearing in mind, we haven't gone down that avenue. Matching opportunities are not just UK bound. They are matching opportunities that can exist further afield. So outside of UK territory as well. I mean, it's a grand picture, isn't it? It's a wonderful, wonderful picture. But if you don't have that goal, you're never going to achieve very much. You've got to have that grand opportunity. And it's giving back. I think Paul and I have been very fortunate in our business lives in that we have been helped. And we're both very grateful for the help that we got at difficult times. What we want to do is to be able to, through our own experience, find that right formula, share that. And when we're no longer here, make sure that there's some sort of continuity in the business world that works. Grand, I know.
Nothing wrong with grand ideas. A lot of the best people have them. And finally, if someone's listening thinking, this might be for me, I think you've already covered it, but let's just go for it again. What's the best way to get involved or find out more?
The best route is to go to our website, which is www.business-matching.co.uk. On there, you will find contact. Go to that tab and register contact. And we will make contact with you and have a chat with you about what exactly you have on your mind.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today, Phil. I look forward to our other episode. We're going to delve a little bit further into your past experiences. I look forward to speaking to you then.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks, everybody.
If today's episode gave you fresh insight, a practical takeaway, or simply something to think about, hit follow, leave us a rating or review, and share the episode with someone else navigating the same landscape. Networking Working is powered by Business Matching UK, a movement changing the way businesses connect, collaborate, and grow. If you're ready to take a more strategic, supported approach to your business development, one that's built on strategy, not chance, then BMUK is what you didn't know you needed. Visit www.business-matching.co.uk to explore more and register your interest.
The information in this podcast is for general guidance and entertainment purposes only. The Networking Working podcast shares ideas and experiences to inspire and inform, and we believe they can be valuable, but they may only reflect part of your own business journey. We always recommend seeking independent advice and using your own judgment to decide what's right for your business. We encourage you to do your own research before making any decisions. The opinions in this episode are our own and those of our guests, and we do our best to ensure the content is accurate and relevant at the time of recording. If you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, you can reach us at info@business-matching.co.uk. Thank you for listening.